Well, it is going to be about the same stuff as you just said, with the little twist. I kind of like how we're going to throw in the Uno aspects, especially with some of these players, and you're going to be meeting them the next couple of days, leading up to the big time reveal for Super League.
Yes, sir, and that's what we're talking about. Super League is on the horizon. Unmute Mike. What? I don't know. Someone check on YouTube. Anyway, should be live. Give me 1 second.
It's going.
Hold on. Yeah, no, we should be good. No, they couldn't hear me. I don't know. Sure, it was kind of my mic guy. Anyway, looking forward to the episode. Looking forward to getting to know G. Obviously, G was the first iteration of this show. That first iteration of the show was not live streamed. That was more of a test run, test dummy run, whatever you want to say. Now we're live. So without further ado, I'm going to give it on to GG. Introduce yourself to the fans, the folks, and everyone here in the audience and on YouTube, who you are, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
All right, hello. I'm Gman. I am the automotive April winner, 22 of the season. Locked into Super League for the second time in my career. First time it was back in 2023. So I missed last season, but I'm back in the field this year through a win, and I'm pretty excited to be in the field. I'm also the head commissioner for Division 2 of the league, which is having the GC Championship on right now. Again, I mean, you see on the channel, we have been streaming every single match of that so far, and it's been pretty good tournament so far. We have seen quite a few Game 7 situations, and it's going to be a lot of players that are coming from D1 next season. So I run that along with Short and Yoshi, who are doing a fantastic job with making sure stuff rolls with that there. And again, looking forward to kicking off this little series of the ProChecks, because I know we're going through all the winners. So happy to be the first one up the bat.
Obviously, we don't have an interview yet aligned for Pat Johnson or Stat Johnson's new nickname. We'll try to get something there. But regardless, we do have the other people. That will be Vapor and Nick tomorrow. Back-to-backs, 7 and 9. And, of course, these are not going to be 5-hour interviews. If you saw the last one we did, that was with me. That is a special case. I can ramble on for days and nights. This one will be a little shorter, a way more concise. All right, first question, G. Like I said, we're talking about player base. Go ahead and give us your little bite-sized note edition of how you got into the sport of Uno and how you've been a league member since 2023, to keep it short. Give us the fans a little taste right there.
I'm part of that batch that was part of the Victory Lane group that kind of really was the kind of year zero in a way, although that was like multiple seasons. So season like zero, A, B, C, D, whatever you want to call it. But came from that group. That dissolved. You contacted me about jumping in for like a mini March Madness special. I said, sure, why not? And it's kind of been rolling since then. I think for the league, how I jumped into the commission team, offered KT to help a little bit. And since then, it's really been a good place for me to sharpen up some of my skills in terms of Excel sheets, and then also just kind of management. So, it's been pretty good as a side thing to do, and I've been enjoying it. There's ups and downs with it, but it's always good, and I'm always learning new stuff every day. So, I mean, that's where I'd say my origins come from. So, kind of similar to a few other people, but it's got its own little quirks and values and things that differentiate it.
All right, looking forward to seeing what we got here for the fans. If you're just joining us late, Lou, appreciate you coming in. Looking forward to that. If anyone's got any questions for G, we'll take. We don't have any fan mail questions. Remember, this is a shorter show. But if you have any fan mail questions, go ahead. All right, G, so obviously your first year of the league, kind of hard to say where you really fit in, right? We're still learning the system. Did a good job as a player, made Super League. Then you had I guess you could say we're talking about peaks and valleys. You were at the peak in 23, then the valley to 24. Now you're back at the peak, awaiting the final peak and destination as we wait for Super League 25. You're one of the few players in the league that's been up and down, right? There's only a few players that have been at the mountaintop maybe their whole career. You have that experience of both the ups and the downs. What's harder to control? Is it the ups, where you have to control that pressure, or the downs of, hey man, this sucks, but there's always got to be a light at the end of the tunnel? Feel free to elaborate on your experience so far going through those peaks and valleys.
I'm gonna say definitely the downs are tougher because I mean we've seen it before where some people are just kind of down and then it's just really a matter of whether they're out or they want to get back up and keep going. So I mean for being down at that spot, there's definitely times for some people who like, is this really worth keep on doing it, just keep losing and losing. What really was going to turn around. I mean, for me, it sucked, but I think you have to kind of have those downs at times. So it kind of just kind of builds your character and makes the comeback stronger and more sweeter. And I mean, we saw that with the women's tournament too. First time I ever won a tournament here. So yeah, I would say the downs were tougher because usually with the ups, you're just kind of salivating in the success. So I think with that, it's just kind of holding, just enjoying the highs of it, and there's not really a ton of challenge. It's just, I think the longer you're on and up, though, if you do suffer it down, that could make it harder to get the turn around, especially depending on where you are at and where your mentality is. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think really for a good, I really think for the best players, I'm not going to say I'm the best player. I think I'm a good player, but I'm not going to say like I'm top five in the league, in my opinion, like all time at least. I think the difference between that is someone who can pick themselves up when they're in a rocky spot and just not doing very well in the league, and then being able to recover from there. So at least that's my take on it.
Now, when you had that rocky road, ice cream in a way, where you had that rocky stretch, was there any doubts or beliefs that really stood out that you can share to the audience to go through hard times? Not just the league, but in life, real quick. Anything that sticks out? Any quotes?
I mean, obviously it sucked going 2-5 last season, but like there's bigger things in life than that. So, um, I mean, again, I don't. For me, I don't personally treat this league as my all or nothing, which in my opinion, I think would be a bad thing. So I don't really treat it like that. It's more something on the side for fun. And as long as I'm kind of having fun with it, then whether it's having 16 wins or 0 wins, as long as I'm having fun, then I guess goal accomplished there. Uh, but yeah, I mean, obviously it did suck being down there, and um, again, also that was the first season of relegation, and I knew all those murmurs of how ironic would it be if the guy who was running T2 gets dropped to T2 after the first season. But I mean, again, even if that did happen, I would have taken it in strides, go in the D2, play that one out. But yeah, it's I don't really know if I have a quote per se, but again, it's just kind of not beating yourself up too much about it and being able to get back up, even if it still takes a while to get back to the top of the mountain.
Now we'll go back to that T2 run. You obviously had a tough loss to Yoshi in T1, lost that, let's call it non-existent G7. Then you started to fire off some big wins. Obviously, we all know the story of the course winning against Gman, winning against Monkey in the Final Four. You also played your, I guess, mini rival. I call it mini rival, Austin Rogers. You had a rematch in a sense with Aria. You had some players that were familiar. Nam, obviously, you torched him 5-0. What was the biggest thing that sparked that run? Was it that first round win where you just need to get a little spark of life? Or was there anything off the table that you translated on a table that made you get to the finale? And which opponent in that run really taught you a lesson? Whether, of course, you won every game, but whether you fell behind or there was a moment of triumph and tragedy, where was the biggest triumph there where you thought it could have been a tragedy in any of those opponents? Go ahead.
I think ultimately to win a tournament, you need two things: good mindset going into it, and also a little bit of luck. Because I mean, it is Uno. At the end of the day, no one's going to complain about getting three plus boards in their hand at the start. But just besides that, I think Arya was a good momentum booster. But I think the moment I was thinking I could realistically win the tournament was when I 5-0'd Nam, because that game felt more in my control in the sense of I was able to do a lot of different things that I wanted to without it being necessarily like a full ammo run. So I felt really good in that game. And those are the kind of wins I do want to get where it's like tricking the opponent or switching it out into something that you were trying to go for and they give it to you. So I kind of like those wins more than, oh, I won with an 8 card run and you can't do anything about it. The monkey game was definitely a little bit more of the one I just mentioned with that, which kind of sucks. But again, at that point, is you got to take what you can get because I mean the tournament wins right there, and you want to have that security, especially with this season having so much parity and a whole lot of questions when it comes to who makes the field. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, for me, I've always said this on record. I always go 100%. I think it's a little silly for someone to say like I wasn't trying in the game because then like what does that really say about how you actually feel in terms of trying to make the playoffs, which I know everyone tries to do. So, yeah, I mean, I always try to go for it. What obviously the strategy could change up, but I always try to go for it. I'm never going to necessarily back down with that. And again, I gotta make sure I stay in the game until the series is actually over. Because like if it's the best of nine, I'm down 4-0. I'm not out of the series yet. The opponent has to get the 5 wins first before the series is over. So as long as that 5 win criteria is not hit, then I'm still in it. So that's really just kind of my mindset when it comes to the games. And I think having that and also again some fortune along the way really helped me get that win in tournament two. Hmm.
All right, that's a good way to know about that run there and really where the spark is. So I'll get into
Go ahead, Art.
a question here. I'll get into a question here for you, G. And here's the thing: what was a high pressure moment you had to balance in your life in any competition?
Interesting. All right, Art.
Hmm.
Appreciate that. Now, Art's going to take more of the life questions. I'll have more of the player, by the way, for the fans at home. Go ahead, G.
I mean that could be anything, right? Doesn't have to necessarily be one, all right.
Anything. Any competition, right, Art?
Anything.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I was a goalkeeper for soccer for most of my, I guess, middle school, high school years. So usually with being goalkeeper, there's a lot of pressure, especially if you get into like a tournament and it's like a final or something like that, because in most situations, you're the last line of defense for a goal. And sometimes if a ball goes in, sometimes people are going to look at you and say, "Why didn't you save that? Should have had that one." And that's really that's the big thing that impacts the scoreboard because if a ball gets past you as a goalkeeper, 90% of the time the ticker is going to go up on the score, and that's not really what you want. So I would say there's definitely a high pressure moment, and I've definitely had my fair share of tournaments where we're close to winning it, and I have to keep the ball out, make sure I keep a clean sheet for the rest of the game. And that definitely has a lot of pressure because you can't be making mistakes with that. So at the end of the day, I would say kind of being a goalkeeper kind of help with that high pressure. And I mean, obviously with a tournament or even with the spread with the season title on the line, that's definitely going to add a lot of pressure. But just in general, kind of being in the net, knowing that that last line of defense definitely puts a lot of pressure on you. You got to be able to control the nerves with that and make sure that you're helping your team when all else fails.
Now, G, any fun soccer story before we get on? Any fun soccer stories you have with your home? Obviously, this league isn't a team-based league, but anything you had on your side? Any fun story you had with a teammate? Best story with a teammate? Go ahead. To follow up that, I would Art.
Ooh, I wouldn't even think about that one.
Go ahead, man.
Hmm,
Take your time.
it's been a while. It has been a while.
Still thinking?
I guess the thing also with that is,
Go ahead.
I guess fun kind of it could vary a little bit depending on the circumstances. Because I mean, there's been times where I mean we've had like we've had like ref calls like go bizarre like a parent like playing on the sideline about maybe something like I do with like a save or something like that when someone's screaming like it's in or like something like that. I don't know. I think the problem for me is it was such a long time ago that I can't think of any immediate stories on the top of my head. I mean, usually for most of my travel team, most of us were from the same town, so usually in school we'd be at lunch together. Maybe something would have popped up there, but I can't really remember anything in the immediate moment because most of that was like in middle school and a little bit of high school. So, um, yeah, I'm sorry if I don't really have an answer on that one, but it has been a while. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. If something pops up, I will let you know though. But as of the moment, I don't have anything now.
No, that's all right, man. Listen, sometimes it takes a minute to jog the old memory. All good, no worries. Well, I'll transition to something a little bit different though, and that's probably the element of a stream game, the element of the league character. Remember, we started this league. There was no such thing as a stream game or a stream setting or interviews or any. What's been the most important lesson you've gotten as a commission member, and also maybe as a player too, that you've gotten out of this experience? Is now the third year of this league. Go ahead.
I mean, I think for starters, as a player, I think the difference between a stream game and a non-stream game is very minute. I think the only real difference is that it takes longer at times because you got the intro and the commentators talking about the game, especially in between. I know in between can vary depending on who's on commentary, but yeah, it's for me. I think with that, it's like there's a lot that goes into it to make sure we have everything set up for that. And Short does a great job with all the graphics and whatnot. He puts a lot of work into that. So I mean, I always like him. I always want to give him a lot of credit for that because he definitely helps make those streams look fancier. And then of course, commentators drafts. I mean, this is the first season we're doing the advisor expansion, and I think it's been pretty good so far. We've had a few hiccups along the way, but ultimately nothing serious. In the sense that it like completely derailed a match, but. I think with that, just kind of being as part of the team that kind of tries to make it all happen, it's just kind of put a lot of work into it. I know a lot of people do enjoy it, and I think that's really the main reason we keep doing this. So I mean, in terms of how the streams ultimately come together, just kind of putting it all together, have what you get, have it what you see like on the actual streams, but then also um, behind the scenes, like getting everyone's colors and logos for the year in both divisions. So that's like usually about you get at least over 100. So that's gonna take some time, but at the end of the day, I think it's all the work pays off because I mean we have really good looking streams, and I'm excited to see where they go from here because they could always go up in quality.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody on the stream team. Of course, everyone that does the graphics. Zach, I can't forget Zach. Does a great job with the cards.
Zach does a great job with the logos too. That does have a big element. And that's even off stream as well. Because I mean, we have that as the emojis and sometimes stickers. So I mean, that usually plays a big part in the tournament also.
Yep, Zach, Lamas, of course, with the thumbnails, Short with the graphics. Everybody, man. Commentary, Seth. He just copped up on a streamer. We had JT earlier in the year. A lot of people have made this go round. Of course, every ref. I want to thank everybody for their continued support and continued growth of what's been a pretty solid year. Now, this has probably been the best iteration of the year. But talk to me about this Super League field, man. You know, we talk about the first iteration. It was a group stage, Final Four, finale, we're done, right? Talk to me about how the field, not so much the Super League field, but just the regular season field, the players that we have now have developed, because we're over 43 people with 100 starts. We got 12 people now at 200 starts. 27, now 29 active players with at least one medal. So that's either a third, second, first, or a trophy. That's classified as a medal or a trophy. And just a lot of parity we've seen. Talk to me through just the competition growing compared to where we had maybe 4 or 5 people at the start of this thing, where we knew they showed up, it was game over.
Yeah. I mean, for one, the parity makes it more difficult to like kind of establish the field for the postseason. I mean, the current model we use is just kind of the just kind of list criteria. Then it's ultimately just a group of people deciding it. I mean, ultimately we'll see how that goes. But besides that, I think just kind of with the whole thing with this going for this is now. I mean, this is year 3. Going to be year 4 next season. Honestly, the 100 wins mark is kind of getting handed out like free candy at this point, especially for people who were here since the start. So
100 starts, 100 starts, 100 starts, not 100 wins, 100 starts, 100 starts.
No, 100 starts. That's what I meant. 100 starts kind of getting handed out. 100 wins is still definitely a long ways to go before that, but 100 starts is definitely becoming way more common now. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some rookies that were in the field this season get to 100 starts for T1 next season. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows the longevity of it in a way. And I think that's a good thing. Obviously, you like this to go for a long time, because again, people come, people go, but ultimately, just making sure you have this as the place to go to, as the side hobby is a good thing for everyone. And I know a lot of people currently enjoy the league right now, and I'm hoping that we could always be creating this place where people can de-stress from any of their IRL things going on and just kind of play Uno. And it's got just kind of a chill environment.
Absolutely. It's all about fostering a chill, fun, yet competitive environment here in the league, and we do appreciate everyone for sticking with us, as G said, as we continue to make this the best place on Discord for Uno. Well, Jay, I got to ask the most important question here. Right? Well, not really, but one of the more important questions. You also have 3 other tournament winners. Obviously, Vapor won twice, and then a Mac and Nick. Out of those 3, which one of those you respect the most? Not just for Super League Field, but off the table, maybe on the table. And obviously, Mac has been here since the start, really, 2023. Nick last year, 2024 rookie, and Vapor as well since really the OG start, even before Mac, who came in more T3 23. Vapor's been here since the OOG start, but he just didn't play T1 due to some sort. Out of those 3, which one do you respect the most? And is there anyone in particular you want to play if you've never played? Obviously, you have played Vapor, but the other 2, I don't think you've played in a long time, or if ever at all. I don't remember.
I don't know. I think it's tough because I think I respect all 3 of them in different ways. I think for Mac, I respect him for his resilience because he had a very bad start to his career, because he was here since 23 and he didn't win a single game till towards the end of last season, and even then didn't get off to a strong start this season. But I respect him for being resilient because he was definitely way more down in the dumps than I was, and he was able to have that rise. And I think again, I mentioned before how being able to get back up from the valleys makes the getting back to the peak even stronger, even for Max the first time getting to the peak at that point. Because I think to that point he hadn't really made it out of a round 32, I don't think, in his career. But I mean, I respect Mac for that. I respect Vapor for the fact he was able to go back to back in 2 tournaments, which is really impressive. We've only seen that 3 times in league history, and 2 of those happened in D2. So this was the first time this happened in D1. I think Vapor always is not afraid to speak how he feels with certain things, which again, it's some of it's agree to disagree. But I always can respect someone who's willing to put out their own opinion and make thoughts heard, even if it's maybe slightly controversial. And then for Nick, I think I do kind of respect him because I mean, for him, I respect him in the sense of he's been someone who's been very chill to talk to. I've definitely had a few conversations with him in the past, and he's always someone who talks a lot about the league, and just how it's really been a good place for him, and also just kind of his enjoyment from here as well and everything that's going on around it. So I think Nick's a very chill person to talk with. I respect him. I respect Vapor for the back to back and also being vocal about things because I know he always wants the best for the league, in any sense of it. And then I respect Mac for the resiliency. So I'm sorry, this is like a dodge, but I really don't know if I could pick who I respect the most out of the three because I respect them all a lot in different ways.
That's all right. And listen, it's answering to the point, making things happen. They've all, including you, have all won a tournament this year. And we've had a lot of tournament winners in the past, and a lot of themes have happened. What's your favorite, excluding your theme, obviously, Auto April was, or not, well, we won Auto April.
Movie May.
And Movie May. Excluding Movie May, you can pick Auto April because you didn't pick that. Which is your theme, best theme all time, from the first iteration? Well, March Madness is March Madness. From the first iterations of March Madness, you can include Super League if you want to include a World City. Maybe we'll make that separate. What's your favorite city we've been to for Super League, and what's your favorite theme all time you played it? Go ahead.
For Super League City, I like Brazil. I always like the 23. I think the festival theme was a good idea with that. And I think it was the first time we did like elaborate theming with the. Well, that was the second time actually. Survival September. Or yeah, no, I think it was Survival September, something like that for 2023. With the Yepes one, I like that was the first time we did like actual graphics related to the theme. And then Brazil, I think, is the favorite city. I think for favorite theme though, I'm gonna avoid diving down the D2. I think there's a few D2 teams to come up with that I like, but I think for D1, I still like Automotive April because I think everything about it makes sense. I mean, this league technically, Victory Lane was the start. I mean, that was a very heavy NR 2003 server, like racing server. So Technically it's kind of ingrained in the league in a way. I could honestly make the argument that automated April could be something we can make as like a re-annual thing because I think in terms of the league history, it makes a lot of sense for that. I think it kind of was a real banger out of the park. They knocked it out of the park, 10 out of 10 team. And I'm not really even saying that because I won the tournament. I'm just saying that like as in the sense of I think with everything that it means and everything that the league kind of got based off of with automotive racing being like a big part in the early days, I think honestly it works perfect for this league. So I would probably say automotive April.
Oh, April. It's the origin story, the old origin story of the VL days and the old racing guys for sure, and that whole group. What was some of the origins of your Discord life? And we'll transition a little bit off to just your Discord. I know Art's a little meter he's got to eat dinner, but what are some of your origins here? You've been around here for a long time now. Well, almost a decade, I believe. When did you start? 2017, 16 Discord? Almost a decade?
I mean, I could check. My account was created in 2016, so
Almost a decade.
yeah, we're approaching year 9. We're actually no wait,
Year
no,
10.
we're past my stage in August, so this is the 9 years on going into the 10th year, I guess.
Yeah, decade
Um,
for sure. What's some origin stories? Anything fun? Go ahead.
no, I mean, my origin story was when I was younger, I played Roblox and I did a lot of Ninja Warrior stuff. And eventually, after Skype kind of died down, things kind of moved over to Discord. So I was on Skype for maybe like 6 months. And then things fizzled out and people went merged over to Discord and it's kind of just gone from there. I think in terms of people I've known online, I probably get Epic is probably one of my first people I've known in the online scope. I've known him ever since like even before Discord, like probably like 2015. So I've known him from 2015, even 2014. He made the argument. So I've known him for a very long time. That's kind of branched out to where I went from here. I've kind of gone through all sorts of communities, left, right, and center, and ultimately I land here right now amongst a few other places. But I guess my origins just kind of going online Roblox, and then ultimately Ninja Warrior community moves into Discord to just kind of big things for events, and it's kind of just been blossoming ever since then.
Yeah, that's interesting with the Ninja Warrior. That's a competitive field. What was the favorite part of Ninja Warrior growing up? That's a show it's been on for decades now. Go ahead.
Oh man, I mean I love Ninja Warrior itself. Like I like more specifically Sasuke, which is the Japanese version, the OG version. I know there's American Ninja Warrior, but that's based off Sasuke. And ANW's kind of have its own weird production choices in the last few years. But yeah, I think my favorite part is the idea of it's a competition, but you're not against the other players, you're against the course. And in terms of fundamental Ninja Warrior, I think that's my favorite part because it's 100 competitors and it's not competitor versus competitor. It's all 100 competitors versus the course. And the idea is for one person to beat all 4 stages and win, because then everyone's happy about that. So I think that's probably my favorite element per se because it's definitely unique compared to other different activities or sports where it's like, oh, it's this team versus that team or this player versus that player. The fact that it's every single player is on a team together and the opponent is the actual course itself and everyone attacks it one at a time to try to get through the stages, I think is probably my favorite part, and it definitely brings a unique dynamic when it comes to that kind of event actually running.
Favorite obstacle you've seen watching this show? What do you got?
That's a tough one. That's a very tough one.
I know everyone says warp wall, but that's the basic.
It's not the warp wall for me. The warp wall is a classic, but that is not my favorite.
Go ahead, real quick.
AMW, I love the double dipper. It's such a cool obstacle. I think the crazy part about that is I'm pretty sure that was part of a design contest, which was made up by that obstacle was made up by like an 8-year-old, which is pretty insane. But that's easily one of my favorite obstacles on A&W. In terms of Sasuke, they got this obstacle right now called the edge swing, which I really like. It's two like cliffhanger ledges on in an X, and then the second jump is to a Y, and then you have to go to another X. You could probably look it up online and find what it looks like. I really like the edge swing. That's in the third stage of Sasuke. I'm also a pretty big fan of the lumberjack climb, which is no longer on the course right now, but I thought that was always a great final obstacle to end the first stage. I'm a pretty big fan of those. And then I have, I mean, I like the Salmon Ladder too. And then the Cliffhanger is a classic. I like this is another one. This is another one that's only on Sasuke. I like the vertical limit burst, which is which is like a 1 centimeter ledge that rotates, which sounds like insane on paper. And it is insane when you actually see it. Only one person's ever beat it, so I think it's a really sick obstacle, and it's definitely easily one of the most challenging things I've seen on any course. So I would say probably something of the ones I just mentioned. But I mean, there's a lot of good obstacles to pick from. So those are a few that I would pick out from myself.
Yeah, and that show, if you ever watched that show to the fans at home or on YouTube, I always say one thing when watching that show. It's upper body, but it's also control. You got to have an insane amount of control with your upper body at certain courses, but then it can shift to your lower body, then it can shift to your core. It targets all body parts and all movements in the human body. It's the ultimate show of, in a sense, I can't say man versus machine because there are some obstacles that it's not a machine. It's an obstacle. It's man versus obstacle. But there are some rotating machines there. Now, I would say this is a complete hypothetical. If you had a chance to compete in this show, what city would you pick, and what would be an ideal time for the fans at home? Go ahead.
As in, what do you mean? Like, as in Sasuke?
No, just if you got selected to be on the show, what would be your ideal city to pick to compete in? Right, you could pick in any city. Let's just say, I know you get to pick if they give you a city, but let's say we took out that prerequisite of this is where you're going. If you had a chance and you got selected, what city would you pick to compete in, and what would be your ideal time you would shoot for to try to beat a time? Go ahead.
I mean, for Ninja Warrior, I mean, I would still pick, Japan.
Okay.
The Mount Midoriyama, which is also in Japanese Mount Green Mountain, which is interesting. But I would still pick Japan. It's in the Tokyo. It's a little bit north of the Tokyo area. I know that's where they usually produce it. But I think in the sense of just limiting it down to the U.S. because I know they usually do the city qualifiers, which is more what you were getting at.
Yes,
I would probably pick Venice Beach. There's a lot of history there with the show. So that's somewhere I've never been before. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And I mean, in terms of the time, I don't even know. I mean, if it was the time limit, I'd probably just have to I'd probably just want to beat the time limit and move on. That's really all. But and if it's just like open-ended time, just complete the course. I mean, in terms of a qualifier, I think something around 2:30 would be respectable enough. But a semifinal will probably be looking more in 5 minutes. But I mean, again, the Ninja Warrior is pretty tough. So I don't know how well I actually do. I know my upper body is not the at the place I want it to be right now, so I probably would fail one of those obstacles. But yeah, I mean, I think Ninja Warrior is super fun, and I would love to do it at some point. But obviously, I'd like to do it when I'm in a spot where I could actually, do well, rather than just like maybe pass like the home run steps. I think that's what the first obstacle in the qualifiers is right now, and then fail the second obstacle, which then I don't really want to do that. So I'd love to be able to get myself to a point where I could do more obstacles more consistently, and that could even involve just going to a Ninja Warrior gym, which is a bit ways away from where I am, but something I definitely would love to try to look into at some point because it is fun from my experience.
Right, and listen, there's always time, and there's always places where they'll have gyms and other training facilities. I know locally, I'm sure there's gyms and obstacle places where you can train, and really anywhere. And the show being so not really worldwide, but domestically, well, technically worldwide, but more domestically, us U.S. folks know it for sure. But it's now branched out to worldwide. So keep it going. Go ahead.
You know who actually does Ninja Warrior gym nearby where they're at and does it a lot? I see them posted a lot on Instagram. Myth actually does a lot of Ninja Warrior right now. So I think if you ever do a ProCheck with him, I would ask him about that because that's definitely something he does quite a bit. And I'd say he definitely has been building a lot of good upper body and even a little bit of lower body as well, strength through doing that. So I think if he ever comes on this show, I would definitely ask him about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely will. Art, are you back? He might be still eating. All right, no worries. He did send me the question pack he wanted me to answer as he's eating dinner. So the second question, G, is what's your most successful venture you have achieved in life up to this point? And that could include college or anything you have done in school. Or anything, really. Go ahead.
It's probably completing college because I mean, at the end of the day, that's like, I mean, I obviously have the degree for 4 years, but that's like what? That's like 16, 17 years of work to get to that point. Because I mean, you start in kindergarten, then go all the way up the ladder. Then you have to do well in high school, get the good grades to get into the colleges you want. I was very fortunate to go to the University of Miami, and I think just putting all that work, getting that degree, and kind of just going out in life now, trying to find that first job and hopefully be in a good spot. Really, I think that's probably the most rewarding and accomplishing thing I've done. So I think the thing with a college degree also is it shows a commitment to something and accomplishing it because you're going to usually take at least 4 years to get that degree. I know some people can get it in 3 or something like that, but I think being able to commit yourself to that and accomplishing that goal is ultimately definitely it's a lot of commitment, a lot of work, and I definitely had a lot of times where things were up and down while at school, but ultimately I did get to the finish line, and I think that's definitely the biggest accomplishment in my life so far. I think an honorable mention would also be going to Japan as well, because I've always wanted to do that. So I was very thankful to be able to do that in the past month. So I would throw that as an honorable mention, but I would definitely say college is number one.
Well, you basically stole Art. I don't know, did you get a read on that? But you basically stole Art's question 3 he wanted me to ask. He said, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned while going on your travels to Japan? And, of course, you went to Vietnam as well. And you did have that little tour. Go ahead and elaborate on that. Might as well. It's a good transition there.
I mean, I have been traveling the entire summer. I'm even traveling right now. I make an announcement about it in day two, but this one's a little different because in terms of operations, nothing's really changing. So, but I mean, you can see right now I'm in Aruba, so I'm just kind of chilling here. Nice sunset there, but just quick video there on that one. But
All right.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing I learned, I kind of was thinking this going into it, and I was ultimately right. I mean, a culture of a lot of respect there. I went to a Japanese baseball league game. It was the Tokyo Squalls and the Hiroshima Carp. I think the most interesting thing with that is usually with like American sports, like you have your fans from both sides coming in and your supporters, but usually it's a lot of cheers, a lot of boos, all everything in the middle. But in that game, the interesting thing is at the start of each inning, whichever team was at bat, and also both sides had like a full section of fans. So that was like very clearly outlined. Um, whichever team was at bat, their side would nonstop chant like in support of their team, like cheering on the players throughout the entire inning. And even if like there was a strikeout or something like that, they would nonstop chant throughout the entire inning until there were three outs. And the other side would be like completely silent, like no boos, no jeers, nothing like that. They would just sit down, watch the game, see how it plays out, maybe cheer a little bit if someone makes a good play for an out, but it was just silence on that side, and then when the top of the inning ended, it would switch over where the other side would get up, start cheering, chanting for their team, and then the other side would be completely silent. So I think for me, that kind of definitely showed a part of the aspect of the respect in the culture because there's not a single ounce of booing. You're not jeering the opposing team. Everyone at the end of the day, you're in a competition, but you're still supporting each other. And I think also with that as well, the league is apparently mandated where you have to be able to sell opposing teams like jerseys and like merchandise as well. So you have to have like a little booth for that. So I think that was definitely probably the most visible in front of my face example of that in terms of the respect. And then also, I guess another example. I'm just going to mention on this because I'm kind of rambling on this, but there's like no trash in the streets at all. There's also no trash cans. There's a very big idea of respect with not littering. I'm pretty sure that's like a pretty serious crime there as well. So I think that's another thing that also kind of shows respect. They respect each other and they respect their own land. So I would say that's probably the most immediate examples I saw of that. But I think definitely respecting others and respecting those around you and being working as a team at the end of the day, I think is really just kind of some of the things that kind of added on to my learning there, and ultimately, I guess also why I had such a great time there because I honestly think that kind of environment really helped boost the experience for me.
There's definitely an element of respect, really, in any Asian cultures. In Vietnam, you want to just elaborate on Vietnam a little bit? You also went there, second part.
Yeah, Vietnam. I mean, obviously, that's it's very tough to follow up like Japan. But I enjoyed Vietnam as well. I think their culture was definitely a little bit more chaotic. But at the same time, also there's definitely an element of respect there. But it's also like a bit of a more individuality kind of culture there. Also, where everyone's just trying to get by. There was definitely moments where people were coming up to me and asking me to buy something or like if I need like a taxi ride or something like that, people just kind of trying to hustle. I get it, I understand it, but I think ultimately there's a bit of more individualism when it comes to the culture there, and ultimately everyone's just trying to get by. Nothing that in the sense of trying to, you know, doing it like trying to steal from you like in a mean spirit, but definitely the sense of where they're just trying to do what they need to do to be able to get I guess their paycheck for the day. So yeah, I mean I think with that that was kind of what I saw there. Obviously there's definitely a difference between that and what I experienced with Japan, but ultimately I still enjoyed both places a lot, and I guess it kind of also adds to I don't have it with me right now, but on my car keys, I have a chain of countries I've been to. I think I'm at 14 right now, so I'm just trying to add more to that, try to go to as many places as I can, and have a lot more things to talk about with other people from my experiences as the years go on.
That's very important to keep building your notebook on life and experience. Gee, that's the most important thing. And traveling the world. Listen, in Japan they have a lot of different laws. You absolutely said it best in terms of the respect element. They take things very seriously out there. Littering and I'm sure spitting is banned. It's it's the one thing I always know that when you go to those places such as Singapore, Japan, especially, or newer places that's been created, they're strict on anything with littering or any public, I guess, annihilation in a sense, public shaming. So there is an element of that minimalism too. What were some things you learned also, just to follow up? Is there anything you learned from those trips that you've applied maybe as a leader of the league, or you're a leader obviously in D2 and also a player? Is there anything you learned that maybe a principle that you always try to remind yourself and remain humble on? Go ahead.
I guess it just kind of reinforced the idea of making sure you're working with your team together to ultimately accomplish a goal. Because I mean, I will be blunt on this. Obviously, there's definitely going to be disagreements at times when it comes to different things, and things could get a little tense at moments because ultimately everyone's just trying to do what they feel is best for the league at different points, and we're ultimately trying to figure out what the best outcome is across the board. But I think just kind of being able to work as a team, being able to work alongside the differences of opinion when it comes to different things with how we go forward with the league, I think is important. And ultimately, just kind of keeping the knowledge that everyone is trying to put forward their thoughts for the best interest of the league at that point. So I would say that's definitely something I would carry in with the teamwork element, especially after that trip.
And Ard, it's bad. Appreciate you coming back, big man. Yeah, no, the team element. I think the collective culture versus individualism, is a good debate, and it's been going around for society since mankind was born. What's good for one culture, what isn't good for the other, what's good for this, what's good for that. It's always going to be a debate at the end of the day, and I think both are good. And you look at there's certain parts that you would say in collective culture are great, but there's also certain parts where in the individualistic culture you got to look out for yourself at the end of the day. Sometimes you have to, right? Because God forbid something happens to your own health, and you didn't take care of yourself, right? And that's the beauty of it. There's always going to be mixes and matches you can gain from your experience to use in every avenue. You almost want to be a Swiss Army knife of skills. Is there any skill, whether it be from the league that you've played so far in these 3 years, or hosting an online event, or any skill in particular that stands out that you may be able to give advice on to not just the people on YouTube and, of course, the people in here, but any skill that you're working on that you want to be better and maybe not master, because takes 10,000 hours to master anything if you think about it, but just to get better on and improve to one day become a more developed version. Go ahead. What's the one skill that you've been trying to work on?
I mean, I've been told that you should be always trying to learn something new every single day, whether it's something that you've been on a track for a while or something that you start day one. Because if you're never learning, you're really kind of stagnating how you grow. So I'm always doing a bunch of different learning, no matter what, whether it's learning new stuff on sheets or even just I'm trying to learn a bit of Japanese right now, and I'm also trying to reinforce some of my Spanish skills. So I would say those are some of the things I'm actually learning. But in terms of a skill that I guess I'm always kind of improving on, I would say I'm still like pretty good with the skill, but I think that the element of patience is definitely a skill you want to have because there's going to be times where things get a little bit crazy and if you want to just rush into something immediately and or like blow up at something, but ultimately just kind of being able to have patience, being able to let it work itself out, be able to come to the best outcome it possibly can be, I think is a valuable skill. Because I think if you rush into everything and to try to get it done as if it was like a speed run, ultimately you're either it or even just kind of if you're in like a discussion or like a debate and someone says something that like you don't agree with, like you can't just necessarily blow up on the person. You ultimately just gotta work it out because then that's gonna lead to the best outcome. And then in the sense of doing something, I mean, again, if you just speed run through it, you're not gonna get the best quality. So I think just being able to take your time, put in the effort and dedication it needs to come out right and get the best quality out of it, I think is also important. So I think being able to have that patience, be able to come out with what you want as the best outcome has really been important. And I think that's something I've definitely grown with through my 3 seasons of this league. So I would definitely say that's been something I've been growing with. I'm always learning how to add to it even more every day.
Yeah, with patience comes persistence, and with persistence comes both good and bad, right? There's always going to be a moment of trial and tribulation. There also becomes a moment of when you persist through it. You look towards that end goal, but you also know the end goal is just part of the journey. It really is. It's something that someone in this audience knows. Taco knows, a little insider there, but it's all about the journey, man. It really is. And for that, we thank you for saying that one key word, because in life you rush certain things. You try to go to the next instant gratifying thing. That's part of the traditions of how this society works nowadays. We're on to the next thing, but sometimes we forget to stop and smell the roses, and it's important to do that. For that, I'll go to my man Ard for the next cue. Ard, take it away.
All right, G. Now I want to. It's kind of good that we think about those sort of processes and all that. And here's the thing: I want to ask you this: what's your thought process when it comes to critical thinking on developing systems in general?
Could you elaborate that one a little bit more on like what you specifically mean with like critical systems?
Critical systems. What did you say, Ard?
Well, uh, critical thinking on developing systems. So,
like new systems, Ard? Is that what you mean?
Kind of almost like that.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. See, so basically, I get what he's talking about. That's a business term. Okay, so when you have a new system, I get where he's coming from, because you said patience. He's thinking new. So let's say D2, right? For example, when you had developed D2, what is that? It's a new system, right? And he's trying to say, I get what he's saying. How do you develop the patience, but also the thought process of a new system? Let's say, do you look at the critical elements of a format? What are some things you can do? Let's just use D2 as it, because we got to stay league based. What are some of your thought processes, basically, of applying that patience in developing a new system? I know it says in general, but we'll just stick with detail. It's a good question, Art, but definitely it's even took me a minute to think about that. Go ahead, G. That helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand the question a little bit more now. I mean, with that, it's just kind of, I think especially with the system, especially something as big as like a regular season format or even just a postseason format, I do think it's a little time to see how it goes. I usually like running something at least, sorry, I usually like run something at least twice, to see how it is, see if there's either better alternatives or whether you just have to tweak the current system as it is. So. I think you have to have patience in the sense of if the first time doesn't go right, wait to see how the second time goes, and if it goes well, then maybe the first time was just like a fluky thing. Um, but I think it's also just kind of letting it play out and see how things go in different circumstances. Because I think you can't really determine whether a format is or a system is uh, good, bad, mediocre, etc. in the span of like a few weeks. You have to give it time to be able to see how it plays out because ultimately, at the end of the day, when you finalize that system, you are locking it in. You're kind of giving it a little bit of like a guaranteed contract in a way where it'll stay in place no matter what happens. Unless it's like so atrociously bad, it's like literally breaking everything else. We've never had a situation like that before, so um, we've had times where things slowly fall apart and we need to change them. Like I think the best example is the way we do the signups for D2. I think the model we had where we took it similar from D1 was not working in D2, so we came up with a different system, and that's been working pretty well so far. So I think you just kind of have to take it as it goes. If a problem is persisting more than once, and or if there's like a foundational problem that like could be like a big gaping hole into it where maybe it didn't happen yet, but it very realistically could happen. I think that's something you need to consider as well with it. So, yeah, I think ultimately when it comes to the new systems, though, it's just kind of being able to see how it plays out and then being able to take the good out of the system and then switch out to maybe some of the mediocre bad parts with some other good parts. And then if there's fundamental flaws with the actual system, then it's not necessarily the worst thing to go back to the drawing board and come up with something new if you've given it time and ultimately it's not panning out.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of system management and system relations is if something doesn't work, you can litmus test it to death, or you can put a fourth or fifth iteration in a system. If it's working, then you stay with it, but then think of an idea that can keep it afloat. Or if you want to advance to that next level, then find a little innovative tweak to get to that routine that you want. So it becomes not perfect, but it gets to a very solid state and just fine tooth comb it. Right? That's really what you want. You want to get to a stage where any new project or any new system get to a fine tooth comb area where you can just have fun with it. If you can start turning it to autopilot, that's great. But you're not going to be on autopilot from day one. It takes a while to get there. You're most likely going to be doing things manually by the old-fashioned hands or the old-fashioned insert object here, wherever you want to use the analogy, before you can just press that autopilot button and fly smoothly. So, good question, Art. That's very insightful of you, man. And we'll go over to another topic. I want to talk about back to the league here. Obviously, accomplishments, and we all know you got a hundo in the old back pocket on wins, 2 hundo starts, right? You played a lot of players. What are some things you will take away from this experience as you enter Super League now, as you'll be your second one? What are some things you want to personally take away from this experience as, of course, we enter a new city and a new atmosphere? What are some things you want to take away and some reflections on your 3-year career here, and maybe some people you play that you've enjoyed, or maybe some people you've never enjoyed, or maybe you played never enjoyed. Just I want to give you a little time for you to reflect right here as we are entering year 3, and you're one of the OG. Because the other guys we interviewed, they are OGs Vapor, but for Mac and Nick, they'll have different perspective, of course. Because you're one of the people that started here. Go ahead.
I don't think there's a opponent I've not enjoyed playing against. Um, I just definitely people I've enjoyed playing against or people I just kind of remain neutral on, but I don't think there's ever been someone where it's like, man, I just really dislike fighting this person. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, not every match is going to be the same. So again, you just gotta take it as it is and play the player. But I think ultimately. doing this for now 3 seasons. It's been a lot, and I think with how it's all played out, it's been quite a few interesting years to kind of just fill out some of my free time ultimately, and just kind of my involvement with the comm team and just doing a lot of work there. So I think I've kind of been able to enjoy it for what it is, whether it's highs or lows or somewhere in the middle. But again, I just go by how it is, and I just kind of play my game. That's really all it is to it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't keep doing it. Simple as that. So, as long as I'm enjoying it, then I'm still ready to go out on the table and give it my all.
That's the beauty of it, right? As long as you enjoy it, it's still fun. Why stop there? And that's the beauty of anything we do. And the passion's there, the fuel's there, the fire's ready to go. It's igniting inside you. Just keep running the flow, keep running the ship. All right, we'll go to Art. I know he had. Art, this is the last one you had, I think, in the pre notes. Feel free. Go ahead. Last one.
Yeah, I got one last question here, and I want to ask this here. Who are some mentors that helped you in life?
Grandmother for sure, 100%. That's probably number one on my list. She has had so much wisdom for me, and definitely someone I look up to a lot. I would say my dad's up there as well. He's helped me a lot in life, whether it be through helping me through college. He works in finance, so he kind of was able to help me with stuff related to that, as well as with different sheets. Quirks and all that. But I would say him. My mom, of course, you got to throw out there. She's always trying to look out for me and giving me all her advice that she can, even if sometimes it goes a bit ranty about it. But again, at the end of the day, it's just trying to give me the best advice she can to help me out. This is not necessarily a mentor, but this is definitely a supporter. My dog Dudley. Again, he's not really a mentor because he can't speak, but he's definitely someone who's always there to support me, whether it be in life and it just in life in general. I take him on all these walks, and he's always smiling, happy, wanted to meet other people, and always wanted to do stuff, or even just to be more chill and wanted to relax. There's been a few times actually where he's been right by me as I'm doing a stream or something like that. So he's actually technically been with some of the streams here in Emory as well, although he's usually quiet and just kind of lays there. So he has seen some of the matches in this league, so he has his own thoughts that we can maybe get to someday about how certain people play the game and his thoughts on the best players. But besides that, I would say that's probably my list for sure. But I mean, again, without that help and without a mentor, you really can't get that far in life. So I think being able to have those people with me, guiding me along the way, has definitely been a big help for me with where I am right now and kind of how I move as I go along. Because this is definitely going to be a very turbulent time where I'm still trying to look for my first job, and I'm still going through the job application process. So ultimately, still going through that at the moment, and just trying to have something pop up and be able to go from there.
That's funny, man, with the dog answer. We got to start inventing one of those, was it dog to human translator things? That'd be funny.
That sounds like something that maybe someone can make.
I'd be very shocked if the dog didn't pick you because you've seen the dog. That'd be very odd if the dog didn't pick G as his favorite player. I'd start to question what the heck's going on here. The dog picks, I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but all I'll say is, my Dudley is pretty keen on a certain Brad H. He thinks he plays the game right. So, not a big fan of some other players though. Won't throw out any names, but he has some very strong opinions about it. Some of them probably can't make it to the air, but he likes the way a certain Brad H plays, but. about it.
It's probably you and me are at the end of the day. We play the game very aggressively in terms of certain things, There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe it's that helmet art. That helmet and my Sonic is a little intimidating. I don't know. No, all joking aside. Look, man, at the end of the day, all joking aside with the dog, yeah, no, family and your immediate support is the most important thing. And they'll always have the path and they'll always have the right. Even if they, as you said, maybe sometimes it's a little ranty and whatnot, but it's coming from a good place always. So appreciate you sharing with that. Well, I mean, we only got a couple more left, and I only have one or two. It's gonna be a quick couple things before we wrap up here. Look, we've talked about life. We talked about the playing base. We talked about, the integrations of the league. We've talked about everything. Is there? I did want to throw in a little bit of what you think the field's going to be next year, right? Because you are the D2. What are some people you've seen in D2 that may come up here, or maybe just in the future that may make an impact when you get to the top division? Go ahead. We'll add a little bit of that, then I'll throw off some fire-off questions or rapid fire in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so the way it works is the way we did it this season was top four seeds in the championship are locked in promotion. So we have four of those already set. And then it's the four best performers from the seeds 5 to 12. So that's still a little bit up in the air at the moment. I mean, based off retirements, though, there's a good chance a lot more of them come up. So, I mean, in terms of the locks right now, Myhill, Cyan, Mark, and Red are confirmed for D1 next season. I would keep an eye out for Myhill. He has had a really, really strong back half of the season. I've mentioned that there was only three people who won back-to-back tournaments. He did that this season. He won Tournament 3 and Tournament 4, so he's been looking very strong and does not look to be stopping anytime soon. I know he has a bit of a rivalry with Sapir, so that might be something to keep an eye out for if they ever cross paths in D1 next season. I would keep an eye out for Pikachu. I'm pretty sure he's in a good spot to get a promotion spot. He plays pretty light and quick. That'd be another player who gets added to the speed category. So he'll join the ranks of Ghost and Captain in there as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I mean, in terms of other people who might come up to D1, I think Ridley's been playing a pretty solid game. They've been kind of bitten by some unfortunate luck at times in the past few matches, but if they do find their way through and get the job done, they could be someone to watch out for. I know you're pretty big on J Money. He definitely has a chop to get up there, get up here for 2026. So I know you're pretty big on him. He's been doing some good stuff. He's definitely been someone who's gone all over the place though with the resume. So he'll be interesting to watch out. He could be he could have a massive X factor next season if he does get that promotion, one of those promotion spots.
All right, G. Well, that's it for that show. We're gonna do a little rapid fire. We got 5 more minutes of the scheduled program. Basically, this segment's gonna be, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of this or that, right? You just pick which one. We'll rapid fire it off. I know Ard usually does this, but we are on a time crunch. We don't want to make these interviews to where it's 3 hours long unless it's me getting interviewed. Then
yeah, I unfortunately do not have 3 hours also.
Yeah, well, and the whole thing with KT, and if everyone wanted to, we have like 30 fan mail questions. We don't have fan mail questions here, obviously, for a reason. All right, let's get it going though. All right, real quick, favorite day of the week, rapid fire. What do you got?
Let's go for Saturday because, you don't have the negatives of Sunday where you have to go back in for Monday and you don't have Friday where you still have to do either work or school that day. Saturday is the perfect day. And it's also a day of, some good old college football. So, we had a good opening week 2 days ago, or actually, no, 3 days ago, my mistake. I would go for Saturday for sure.
Last song you downloaded. Thank you for the answer.
Last song I downloaded? Oh man, I'd have to check on Spotify. Hang on a second.
There you go. See, all right, on the spot, baby. That's what you were trying to.
Okay, so in terms of download, I have a playlist called the Miami Wins playlist, which I always play after Miami gets a dub, which that was blasting on Sunday night. I think my actual last song down. I always have like a massive messed up list of songs in one playlist. I had a Delta song recently added. It might have been that one. I actually no. I think it was on the Miami playlist. Okay, no. I think it was "Don't Stop the Rock," which was a freestyle song. It's a song they play at the Miami baseball games as a hype song. And usually when it's played, everyone puts their hands out wide and then brings them up like clapping with the beat. So I threw that on there. That's probably my latest downloaded song. Although that kind of doesn't really count. So I would say I would say my latest that I actually listened to was actually Hammer of Justice from Deltarune. But that's like a whole mix of different songs and it's all meshed and whatnot. It's not really organized.
Favorite holiday? Appreciate the answer.
Christmas, I'm not even going to think about that one. I mean, all my family comes over. Presents galore. We do a bunch of different activities, including a saran ball. Always got people coming in together talking about it. Usually, my mom's side of the family comes over. I love my mom's side of the family. My dad's side is a little bit all over the place, but my mom's side is pretty tight and compact. So I would say Christmas restrictions. Everyone comes over and we all have a good time.
Invisibility or super strength?
What kind of super strength?
No, just in general, invisibility or any super strength?
I'm gonna actually go. I was talking about I want better upper body, so I honestly might go for super strength just for the sense of getting better upper body. And I mean, then even if it's in the sense of like you don't like have to add all that weight where like it could drag you down and stuff. I think that'd be good for like being able to do Ninja Warrior stuff like the cliffhanger and whatnot. So I would go for that solely based off that, and also because super strength you could like try to lift up a car and it's pretty cool.
All right, three more. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Let's see. That's a tough one. This might seem like a very strange one, but actually, when was it? I need to double check. I have the right era. I would probably go late 18th century. Um,
Okay.
I mean, you kind of have obviously the American Revolution going on, but you also have like the French Revolution. Obviously by distance, I would not be part of the aristocracy for sure because I would rather not get beheaded. But I think it'd be interesting to see how that ultimately unfolded in time and kind of the events that circumvented for that kind of thing, those kind of things to occur. But I would say that because a lot of interesting stuff in history happened at that point.
What's your ideal outside temperature?
72 degrees with a slight chill.
Sunny or cloudy?
Cloudy because then you don't get sunburned.
Good man. Always want a little
Yeah.
partly cloudy day, Art. Always, man. Sunny, don't get me wrong, sun's great, but you better know how to protect yourself. Last one. Favorite food you've eaten overseas? That's a good one. 'Cause you were overseas. Favorite food you ever?
It's gonna be from Tokyo. I can tell you that much. I guess the question is what. Uh, uh, I think this is kind of cheating because I don't think this is necessarily like a specific delicacy for um overseas. But when I went to Tokyo, I went to the Kirby Cafe, and I had all bunch of different types of food. I had this. I'm gonna post it here. I'm gonna post two of them actually.
Yeah, in the
In the channel. I had a Waddle Dee that was rice, egg as the blanket, and then curry on the side. And they had a little parfait that was also a Waddle Dee. I'm also with my friend there. So I would say I think in terms of international favorite food internationals overseas, and part of this is because of the presentation. I would definitely say those two. In terms of an actual overseas delicacy, I would probably say like some nigiri sushi that I had. That was pretty good. But I think it would be what I just posted in the ProCheck stage, solely based both based off like how it tasted and also the presentation of it.
Actually, this is the last one because this is very important. When you fly in a plane, team neck pillow or no neck pillow when you're sleeping?
Actually, if you go on a long flight, they'll usually give you a small little pillow there. So,
Do you bring your own?
I would say, no, I usually don't.
Okay.
I would probably say no, team no neck pillow. I think it's good to have at times, but ultimately, I've just kind of been used to being able to sleep, like kind of pass out right away. Usually my strategy with long flights is I kind of stay, especially if it's a morning flight, I usually just stay up, and then once I'm on the plane and we take off, I just kind of like pass out. Because that's usually a pretty good strategy that works out for me. So I would be team no neck pillow, but that's mostly because I'm just used to it.
Well, G, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and enjoy Aruba. Of course, you're in Aruba. Check him out, guys. G, going to Super League, going to the BKK. We'll see where he's ranked. Reveal show coming up September 4th, 6:30 on MRU. Should be a fun one to get the reveal going there. But tomorrow, what's on tap? Well, cannot wait for 2 back-to-back headline features. We'll start it off at 7 o'clock with Vapor. Vapor should be a good one, of course. Incredible season. It's been here since the start of 2023, all the way back in February, January, even when we started the signups, all the way back. And then he was on an interview before on the ProCheck. Of course, he did do one as a prerequisite interview. And Nick, we have no idea. That will be a first-time ever interview, so we'll see what Nick will do. Then, after that, we'll try to get Matt Johnson. We'll have the reveal show. Then we'll try to get Matt, hopefully sometime Friday or Saturday, if not next week. And then we'll have a plethora of shows. We're going to be breaking down the field on September 5th at 2 o'clock. We're going to go September 6th. We're going to talk a little bit about some guys that missed and what they can look forward to next year, 2026. Then September 7th, of course, at 8 o'clock, we'll talk a little bit about the D2 chip and, of course, how we run Super League, a little bit of the operations. And then, Ard, you and me, cannot wait, my friend, September 8th. The big one. Week 1 is in store. Some predictions. What are the people going to do in the said week in Group A and B? And, well, how are those people on the bye, too? Of course, week 1 bye. How will they listen in as we get Super League started? Ard, you're of course, our main hostess. What is the one thing you took away from this interview? Sign us off, my friend, from tonight. What'd you get?
Well, I'm going to say this. Knowing by how somebody's gone through the whole ringer, going up and down, and having to go for a lot of adversity to try to get back to this place, G has done a whole lot. He has done a whole lot in D2 as well. And now he's got a lot of focus coming up with Super League. And it's going to be fun to see the road that G will take to get there.
All right, for myself, my main man, ProCheck Ard. G, appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule for Taco, Cody, Smart, Luke, and of course now enjoying at the start a little bit earlier. Thank you guys for coming in. Check us out on YouTube. All these interviews will be posted, and we'll be having a playlist as well. We apologize for the delays a little earlier, but those have been fixed. I want to thank Short for that. Until then, we will see you tomorrow back here on the stage at 7 o'clock with the Vaporizer. Looking forward to it. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.